Hello and welcome to Salud SA, San Antonio's premier wellness television show. I'm your host, Anastasia. Each month, I'll seek out San Antonio's best kept health and wellness secrets and feature homegrown alternative healing pioneers from our community. Today, I'm thrilled to be interviewing sibling business duo Rachel and Vivek Puvator, owners of Oonyall Tea, and discussing their journey from kicking the coffee habit to starting San Antonio's first authentic chaya business. Are you ready? Let's spill the tea. Welcome, Vivek and Rachel. I'm so excited that you're here, and Rachel all the way in from New York. That's extra special. Welcome. I'm so excited to talk to both of you about Oonyall and how you started it. So let's just dive right in. How did y'all first get introduced to chaya, and when did y'all decide, and how did you decide to create Oonyall Tea?
So we grew up with chaya, like I was mentioning to you before. I mean, we grew up with our mom, our aunts, our grandmothers, making chaya for us when we would come home from school, or sometimes before they would start their day as well. Mm-hmm. So there's that childhood connection for us with the drink. Yeah. And we always would look forward to drinking it when we would go to Kerala, the southern state in India where our family's from. And so the chaya in Kerala, it hits different. And we always thought that growing up, like whenever we'd land and our grandmother or aunt would make it for us, it always tastes just like a little more special. And it was hard to recreate that when we came to the States. Yeah. So the idea from Oonyall, of Oonyall, really came from seeing what Texas and San Antonio was missing in our eyes. Yeah. And it was like this experience with chaya that was commonplace and casual. In India, when you go to different streets or different places, there's always a chaya stall, and chai walas, they call it, are always making it and metering it, and it's very casual and commonplace.
Stand,
like a pop-up. And so we missed that, and I remember vividly leaving school, high school every day, and my dad would drive me home, and we'd be stuck in traffic, like the San Antonio traffic we're very familiar with, Huebner Road.
Oh, yes.
And we'd be so tired after our school and work days, and we'd just talk to each other and be like, man, if we were in India, we could just pull over, get some chaya. And that's really where the idea came from.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, so when you say it hit differently, how so? Like, were you trying to, or here in San Antonio, when your mom or you guys would make chaya, were you just using, black tea from HEB, just grabbing some, or Lipton, or and it just didn't taste the same, or what was that? How did it hit differently?
We would grab black tea from the Indian store, or sometimes tea bags from HEB. So Lipton, not to name
right,
brand,
not to.
But we would grab those big tea brands and try to create the same stuff our grandma would make in Kerala. But it always tasted weaker. It tasted maybe even more bitter, but without the warmth and the strength. Even when we add the spices, it didn't quite taste the same. We always knew there was a difference between what we drank in India versus what we drank here in the US. Yeah. And only until we started Oonyall did we realize, we didn't know until we started Oonyall that the difference was the black tea itself, the ingredient itself matters, like how it's grown, where you source it from. Big tea manufacturers, they kind of cut costs because they need to keep their economies of scale. So because they got to keep the scale, they have to kind of use cheaper tea to put into our tea bags. It's not as strong. It doesn't infuse the flavor as well, and so when we looked to find better tea, we looked to South Indian Nilgiri Hill tea, the tea estates in the Nilgiri Mountains. And once we started sampling with that tea, it was like, okay, this is what tastes like what our grandma used to make in Kerala. So that's why we ran with this and brought our products to market.
Awesome. Yeah. Wow. And so then when you finally got your hands on some of this delicious tea and you started making it, were you like, oh my gosh, we found it. This is it.
Exactly.
This is it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I made it, and then I told my mom, okay, this is the one that Amachi, our grandma, used to make. So I want to find more of this. I don't want to use the other big tea brands anymore. I want to run with this. And then we worked on finding the supplier, to bring
Yeah.
us the exact quality that we wanted. So,
Yeah, and I read on your website, it was pretty fascinating about the different teas, and we'll get into them in just a minute, and just how, the mountain, the rain goes down the mountain, so they're not super saturated with water, and it just, just the intricacies and the delicateness, of creating just the perfect tea. It was,
Right.
I found it very fascinating.
Yeah.
I love that. So when did you start Oonyall? Like, how long has this been in existence?
We started Oonyall in the summer of 2021, so
Oh,
we're coming
new.
up on
Okay.
2 years now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I said, we've had the idea for years, and it was just because, I was still in college at the time, and he had just like graduated recently, and we both had some entrepreneurial experience in college, and so I think that gave us the confidence to start our own thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, we ran with it. And the name Oonyall comes
Yeah.
from the Malayalam word for swing, like a physical
Mhm.
swing that you swing on.
Yeah.
And that is really connected to our nostalgic memory of like how we would enjoy chaya in Kerala.
Mhm.
We would enjoy it on a swing, which is like very like an architectural staple of houses in India in Kerala.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we
that's
would
awesome.
like if it was in the evening or in the morning, we would have a cup
Mhm.
and just sit outside and like either watch the rain, talk,
Mhm.
or do nothing, just like sit
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the swing. So when we were coming up with the name, we're like, we could call it like San Antonio Chai Shop, but like it's
Right.
but this Unyal thing has like a connection for the both of us.
Yeah.
So we ran with that. So that's
Yeah.
why we named it Unyal.
And the connection with both of us. I mean, you might have noticed the y'all in Oonyall.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you transliterate swing properly, like
Yeah.
there's supposed to be a J instead of a Y, but we
Mhm.
changed it to a Y because it keeps the sound the same, but it's also like an homage to our
Yes.
upbringing in Texas. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes, I
Yeah.
love that. And I love the thought of, just sitting outside and enjoying tea because, I can just see you guys in India with your grandma and, sitting there drinking your tea. And just like like my grandparents, they did the same thing.
Yeah.
We would just, except that they had just little folding chairs and we would just sit outside and they would just watch, and that was what I did with my grandparents
Yeah.
too. I mean,
Yeah.
they had a peach tree. And so we used to eat peaches and just watch.
Wow.
And it's so simple, but it's so beautiful.
Mhm.
And there's so much presence and love in there. And so, yeah, that's really exciting. And so we are actually drinking Oonyall right now. And it is so yummy. It's so good. And I'm not a tea connoisseur, but I drink a lot of tea, a lot of varieties of tea. And I was telling Vivek before that I've actually been drinking it straight, just drinking it plain. I just steep some of the black tea. Actually, I've been, the Darmona is the one that I had most recently, like yesterday.
That's what we're drinking. Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. And I really love it. I mean, I love it straight, but I did use the recipe that you all sent, and I made some with oat milk and this like a latte, and it was so good. I was like, I've never made chaya before. Never put the spices in it, and actually spiced my own tea. I was like, wow, it was so delicious. I mean, really, absolutely delicious. And this is really delicious too, guys. I'm like, this is good.
What
It's
was
really
the
good.
process like for you when you made it for the first time?
Well, I'm familiar with the kitchen.
Okay.
So I experiment, I do things, I spill stuff, and it's not a big deal. And I was actually proud of myself because I tried to meter with which I didn't know that the process was called metering, until I read your insert that came with the tea, which was very lovely. So first I strained the tea, I used the tea into in milk and boiled it, and then I strained it out. And then as it was, and I put my spices in, but as I was quasi metering, because I basically had a cup, a mug, and my pot.
Yeah. That's how you do it. Yeah.
I just poured it, and I spilled a little bit, but not too bad. I thought I did really
You always
well.
want to spill a little bit. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I imagined, because I'm into all the gadgets and everything, that one day I would just get myself one of these like fancy, not really fancy, but it looks like a little pitcher that I can use to meter with.
Yeah, we have like steel ones that he uses. He's
Yes.
like the chef or like the chai tender.
Yeah,
At all our pop-ups.
chai tender. I love that.
Or chai walla at all our pop-ups.
Yeah.
But no, when we started like first doing pop-ups in 2021, we were at like a farmer's market on the north side, and his shoes always had like chaya stains on them, and they were like white shoes.
White shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at some point it was like he purposely started wearing them so that they
Yeah.
just get dirtier and dirtier. But
Oh,
so,
that's
it's so normal,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was great. I mean, I love the smell, you know, like as I was putting in the ginger and the cardamom. And I don't often cook with cardamom because when I eat Indian food, I usually just buy it. I take it out, you know.
Yeah.
To me, it's like a lot of spices. I have to
Yeah.
do a lot. So there's a lot of delicious restaurants I can just order from. So I had actually, when I was pregnant, I was eating this a rice pudding that called for cardamom, but I had it ground, so I didn't actually have the seeds. So that was the first time I've actually used a mortar and pestle and just like, you know, squished them. And I loved the aroma. It just smelled so good. And then when I mixed everything up, it was just like, it was heavenly. You know, it was like, ooh, this is like potpourri for my apartment. So yeah, it was great. And it was so good. Like, I can't even tell you again, like I was just blown away at how delicious it was.
Yeah. Did you find yourself like focused on the process, like equally, like it sounded like you really enjoyed it as well?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. And I love to cook. So it's like,
good.
to me, it's my stress reliever. It's a time to engage in the present moment and be in this meditative flow state and create something. And so that's why I was just like, I mean, I had never made chaya before, and I've made a lot of things. You know, I make a lot of food and a lot of drinks, and some are good and some are not. And I was just really shocked at just how those fresh spices and the tea and just mixes together so well.
Yeah.
And I'd never been a huge chai drinker before either. Like it's not something I would go to a coffee shop and order a chai latte. You know, occasionally, but I'm not a chai connoisseur. But when I had it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really delicious.
Yeah. That makes us super happy. I mean, both because of the experience that you're having, like making Oonyall chaya, but also knowing that you hadn't really been a fan of like the chai tea lattes that you can find at stores before. I mean, at our pop-ups, we would get people who love chai tea lattes, and then they loved it even more, like the authentic chai that we would make. But then we would get people who, like their friend brought them along and they were like, nah, I don't really like chai. And I was like, have you had authentic chai? And then they'll try it, and like you, like they really like it. So I think it's it's really special.
Yeah, it is. It is. I can feel the love in it. So why don't we talk a little bit about what you brought here? So
Sure.
What do y'all have?
So in this bag, we have our two products. We have Oonyall Kalave, black tea from the Nilgiri Mountains, and Dharmona, black tea from the Nilgiri Mountains as well. I'll get into those two products in a little bit. I just want to show what else we brought.
Yeah,
We have a brand new strainer for lucky person that gets to win this.
Oh, yes. Oh, we gotta give it away.
Yeah, we have a giveaway.
It's a giveaway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And then we have our cards, kind of like to help out, guide people.
As
give
you
them
make
tips.
it.
Yes.
Yes.
Very, very helpful, you
And then we
guys.
also threw in some containers of spices.
So they're taped down for security.
But we have cardamom, black peppercorns, and cloves. So people can get started right away with the spices they want. Because there's no spices in here yet. Stay tuned when we come out with those bags.
Ah.
When you want to start, you can always play around and add whatever spices you want. But the three that I put in here are my personal favorite spices. That if you came to our pop-ups, you probably tasted as I gave you a free cup or something like that.
Yes, cloves. That's true. That is a spice that I've tasted, obviously, or that I tasted here too.
But so to talk about the two different products we offer, just to get in like just a quick rundown. When we were sampling, we were looking for like, okay, some of us like lighter tasting chai, some of us like stronger, earthier tasting chai. So how do we kind of bring something to match those preferences?
Yeah.
So that's why we decided on these two blends. So the Kalave blend, the name is a Tamil word that means blend. So it's actually a blend of 3 different leaves from 3 different tea estates in South India. So they're grown at different high elevations. And so when you blend them together, you get a nice balanced light floral taste. The higher the tea leaf is grown, the lighter and florally it tastes.
Oh, nice.
But the lower it's grown, it's stronger, earthier, and more astringent. So that's why we came up with this one, because it's like, okay, a lot of us do like balanced tasting tea,
Yeah.
and it's lighter. So this is for people that like
Okay.
light tea. The Darmona one, that's named after the Darmona estate in the Nilgiri Mountains, and it's a single origin, single source black tea. So it only comes from the Darmona estate.
Okay.
And it has, I think you said that you had recently, it has a like a earthier, bolder taste
Yeah.
compared to Calave. That's because it's grown at relatively like lower elevation, the medium elevation. So it has a stronger and earthier taste to it.
Yeah.
And that's really the only difference. It's
Yeah.
like where they're grown.
Okay, so this one is a blend, and
Yeah.
this one is a single leaf, and this
single
is lower elevation. This is higher elevation.
Yes.
Okay, I love
Yes.
that. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. And I myself, I think I tend to go towards, which is interesting because in coffee I don't like dark roasts at all. Like I'm like, give me the lightest one you've got. Like I don't like dark roast, but in the tea I found that I like to make it a little bit stronger. But I had also learned a long time ago, and I don't know if this is true or not, but an herbalist told me, she's like, when you make your tea, she's like, don't ever steep it longer because it's going to get bitter. It's just like, just use more. If you want it stronger, use more, less time. And so that's kind of the
Rule of thumb.
what I've done forever. It's just use more in less time.
Yeah.
We have the
So-
same like
It's the same rule.
rule.
Oh,
yeah.
But-
yeah.
Okay, good.
The funny thing is that with ours, a lot of our customers come back and tell us like, y'all, like, we don't have to use as much to get the same strength and flavor. And I'm like, yeah, because it's not watered down tea. It's straight from the source itself.
Yeah.
So the way that we do it, so yeah, I tend to not, I put timing guidelines on the bag so people don't get bitter tea.
Right.
But my mom will never listen to my timing advice. She'll just be like, okay, I see
knows.
That's the
color,
expert, yeah.
the color, like every like in a lot of South Asian households, we all kind of recognize you got to get that color right. So this terracotta brown color comes out. That's when you kind of know to stop.
Okay.
So there's timing you can follow on the back of the bag, but once you get really good at it, you'll just see it by the color. You'll be like, okay, we're good here.
And I think he likes his like darker. So we have like a chai swatch card that it's just for fun that we include. And so I think you would like a strong one, but my taste is more like balanced. So I would turn the flame off way before he would.
Okay.
Yeah, to get my color and my strength that I prefer. But yeah, to each his own.
That's so awesome. I love this. This is exciting. Well, we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'm curious about your spiritual practices and how tea helps with the mind, body, and spirit balance. Do you
Yeah.
have any tips or any memories or anything that connects with that?
Yeah. So with the mind, I mean, we were kind of talking about your experience just making chaya for the first time. And it is like an embodied practice. You have to use your arms and all your senses, your eyes to see the color when it changes, the smell is engaged. You're also hearing like how the water and the milk boils.
Yeah.
The sounds are there. So it's an embodied practice. Your mind is engaged with your body. And I think what makes making chaya so special and why we love it and why our customers love it is that it gives you a moment of rest from like a busy day before you start it or after you've ended it.
Yeah.
It gives you respite and it requires mindfulness to make it. Like you can't be watching TV. You could, but you might burn it. So it kind of requires every part of you to be engaged. So that's the mind. And then the body, again, it's an embodied practice, but there are also medicinal benefits. So we might have mentioned before that black tea is known to have antioxidant properties that reduce the risk of chronic diseases like cardiovascular disease.
Oh, great. Well, that's a good benefit.
Yeah, your body will thank you for it in like 10, 20 years.
Yes.
And also, like we mentioned, the elevation of our teas is what makes it so high quality. And that also means that insects can't really survive at that high of an elevation, even with the Darmona one. So that means fewer pesticides, like as minimal, near zero, are used, which again is really good for your body.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the spirit, you mentioned the spirit. It's a tough question because like everybody's spiritual practice, like we were talking about, is so different.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we can all agree though that what we take in and what we give out into the world is what makes up can build up our spirit.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So I think the connection to that and making chaya is that when you make chaya for yourself or you make it for someone else, like your neighbor or a friend, you're building up your spirit, and that can be a part of your spiritual practice as well. You're building connection and community. And I think that is what we really love to focus on, because everyone can define their like yoga or stretching or whatever they want to do, their physical activities in their own way, and whether they pray or not. But what chaya brings is this point of connection for community and with yourself that I think is really special. And so I think we really want to emphasize that part of it, because we never want to present like a material good as some sort of like panacea to like the modern world's problems, but it is a vehicle for connection. Like you can use this really high quality product to connect to yourself or to others. So that's what we think. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I love that connection to the community for sure. I mean, that's one of my ways of giving to the community too, is that I'm always cooking. Like I said, I'm always cooking, I'm always making drinks and whatever. And like, that's my way of giving and sharing my love with friends and family and neighbors and things. I also wanted to touch on what you were telling me before we started about your mom and when she would make chaya. So would she make it in the morning or night or both? And like, what did that look like?
Yeah.
She made it
like 5 o'clock.
her recipe.
Oh, 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
Okay.
or 6 o'clock.
So it was like her end of the day ritual.
She works in medicine, so it's high stress,
Oh,
especially back
I can imagine.
when she was a younger doctor. So she would come home and like she wants number one, she wants like the area clean, and then she also then wants to get herself going with the pot of chaya. So it would be her way to like unwind, and that's where we got those cues from a young age. Like, oh, okay, so our mom makes it to unwind. I kind of want it at the same time she does, and then we started to unwind our day at the same time she did, you know?
Yeah.
And then she would always, when we're growing up and we're like studying, she would like unannounced, kind of on like clockwork, just make it around 5 and then put it on the counter, and I would hear it, and then I would just walk down and just pick it up, and then I just either start talking to her or relax or just like vent. That's what we kind of connect our chaya experience to in the US. It's like it's when the sun is kind of like hitting the window coming in, and it's golden hour, but we're also starting to sip on chaya, and we're getting ready to either start the day again or wind down from the day. And it's really relaxing. It's always we just call it chaya time. Yeah. And it's like a good joke in the house, but like it's chai time is
that's
like
what
5
we
p.m.
literally call it.
Yeah. So like I look forward to that. So that's how my mom kind of like it's common in a lot of South Asian households, like not just ours, but like our mom, that's a connection that we have to it through her, you know. And then my dad always wants it too at 5 p.m.
He's like, I'll take it.
Now he asks for my chaya like every day. Like, so,
I bet.
Yeah.
And would she serve it like how? I mean, would she get it from the pot and then just pour it into cups for you, or is it something that you serve in a special vessel? Or
no, nothing.
So it's in cups.
Yeah, just cups, like mugs that you use for coffee. You can just use that too. In Kerala, sometimes you use like glass little cups.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah,
like
yeah. But here we just use mugs. We use what we had. Very simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I guess we're getting towards the end of our time. So tell everybody how they can find you. Where can we find these lovely products, and where can we find you guys?
Well, you can find us at oonyall.com, OONYALL.com. And you can follow us at Oonyall on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter as well. And TikTok. We're on TikTok too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I absolutely love this tea, and I can't wait to see what unfolds for you guys. Maybe we'll meet again next year and have some magical blends. I hear maybe some spices in there. So I'm excited.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you.